Up in the
Exactly.
Just like it.
Spot on.
Right?
And just like that, we're
Spot on.
live.
Oh,
We are live, baby.
What's the
What's
move?
the move?
I'll
What's
tell
the
you what
move?
it is.
Let's hear it. Tell us what it is.
I just did.
Episode 1, the pilot.
We'll save the beatboxing for later.
What's going on?
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being
We're here at
guys.
Shoebox.
Shoebox Detroit.
It's cozy in here. It's real
It is
cozy.
very cozy.
It is. Yeah.
Yo, welcome.
Yeah. This is.
If Alex falls asleep,
Yeah.
Don't mind
have a
him.
real
It's very
comfy blanket
soft wall.
behind me or a polar bear. Either one.
Yeah. We skin it ourselves.
so
Logan.
agenda today, kids.
We're going to talk about us.
We're gonna talk about us.
Who we are, where we came from, our story,
This partnership.
Let's go.
how we
How it got
formed.
started.
MD baby.
All the way back, day one. My
Wait,
first.
So you guys own a gym, right?
We do own
We
a gym.
do. We own a gym.
We are partnered with Shoebox.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. We finally are in our own space after
Been a long time
year
coming.
of moving around Detroit, Metro Detroit, not
Moving the people of Detroit.
the people of Detroit.
Building a community.
Having a lot of fun. It's surreal. It's cool to be here. I used to sauna right here at a different location, so it's fun.
I wonder what channels more heat now, the shoebox as it stands or the shoebox as a sauna.
I think the shoebox with these lightsabers.
Yeah, these lightsabers are sick, man.
Yeah.
Can we have a Jedi?
There's a lot of
war?
heat going in here.
It's a lot of,
Deal.
especially with that beatboxing before we got started.
Can we start over?
What?
Why don't you two tell us a story about how you first started, and then I'll jump into how I joined you guys.
Well, we're gonna get
Yeah.
very specific because we have time.
Yeah, I mean, I had a bad back, and I went to physical therapy, and I met Logan.
I was right out of school. I think I was 2-3 months out of school. So
Honestly, no
full
idea
time.
either. I mean, you healed my back, so
Nice,
Good
dude.
Yeah, Jordynn was on the schedule. I was like, "Who is this person?" Brand new.
you said you were nervous.
I was nervous because I didn't know what I was doing at that time.
3 months out.
Yeah,
You're like, what?
you were like one of 6 patients I had that day, and yeah, I think we just started kind of bouncing ideas off each other. I got to learn like kind of what you do as a career. I didn't realize that you worked right next door.
Yeah, that was very
So,
convenient. I walked
that
over
What are
was
the
there.
cool.
odds of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at that time too, I had my my personal training business, and I'd always wanted to incorporate like nutrition coaching. Just never wanted to put the time towards it, so I knew that was kind of what you specialized in. I think I followed you on
Yeah.
Instagram
Yeah,
like shortly after like our maybe our
Creeper.
first visit.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like our conversations were great, and just having somebody to throw around ideas with too that just very relatable. So
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely stalked you and forced you to become my friend so I could learn from you.
Yeah. Well, and then I was, I was thinking too. I was like, man, I really want to integrate nutrition coaching for my clients, and so then I think you and I thought of some different things, and we were like, why don't we just go get coffee and we'll sit down, chat, just kind of what the future looks like. And I think the intention of the first coffee shop meeting was to figure out a package deal that I could do with my clients to offer nutrition coaching too. And then I don't even know how much of that we actually talked about,
I
because
don't
I think
think any of it, honestly.
we jumped right into like pulling out a piece of paper, being like, all right, like at the end of the day, what's the goal? Like, what's the end goal look like?
That might have been the day I was asking, like, why you're doing this. What do you want to do about this, like, in this industry, I guess. Or started hammering whys.
The why.
The
yeah.
why.
Yeah, you were hammering me. Couldn't answer anything.
I remember you just, like, sat there, like, oh, my gosh.
I'd never been
But
asked that
then
before.
It was kind of like our whys were very much aligned, and our wants were very much aligned. And, yeah, we mapped this out, which
Literally,
is
like,
wild.
got a piece of paper, said, okay, what does it look like for you, and what does it look like for me? And we literally, specific rooms, like, here's where the gym's going to go. Here's where the PT recovery is
Mhm.
going to go. Here's where the sauna cold
Doggy
plunge is going to
daycare.
go. Doggy daycare. I wanted a doggy daycare so bad.
Now I got the shoe
Coming
box.
soon.
It's better.
Yeah, coming soon.
Coming soon.
I think we could squeeze it in.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, probably that room next door. We don't use it.
I think we had like a coffee. We should pull that out one of these days and frame it.
Got it somewhere. Yeah. Actually,
remember
now
that
that
one
we're
too.
here, that
'Cause
was always
we
the
did-
goal.
Yeah, we
all
did one
three
as
of us
well.
did one
And it
as
was
well.
like the same as what you guys did.
So yeah, I think we had like a coffee stand or a smoothie stand there as well, or something. But anyway, regardless, it looked the same.
Yeah.
I
Pretty
wanted,
much, yeah.
and then from there we're like, okay, well, you either go alone and
Go fast.
go fast, or you go together and go far.
Mhm.
Why
And
not? I mean, I couldn't imagine doing this without now both of you. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
Alex is creating
agree.
graphs and shit that I've never done before. It's great.
I think
It's keeping me
that's.
organized.
I don't like Excel.
I think the biggest thing is what we talked about recently was just. I think there's a lot of skepticism about partnerships in general, but
Yeah.
especially three-way partnerships. Like you
Definitely.
don't see a lot of, especially in the fitness industry, you don't see a lot of three-way partnerships. So going into it, I think we were getting a lot of like that hesitation from
doing?
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
what
are
is
you
this?
Absolutely.
sure? Like, you have to split it 3 ways. It's like, well, yeah, but like having 3 different brains is gonna create so much more opportunity for
Right.
uh, you know,
Yeah.
whatever services and ideas and like a way to make money and bring money in. And I think so far, like that's literally how it's been. Is like
Absolutely.
I think it too kind of matters. Like, what's your definition of success? Like, a lot of people just want to make a bunch of money up front,
Right.
and like that'd be cool. And I'm sure we could all do that if we did some of this individually. But what is longevity and like
Right.
consistent longevity
Yeah.
of a future?
What makes
for
you
me
happy?
is that success, right? Like,
kind of how I see it too. Is like, if you're a solo business owner, and I'm speaking off of a conversation I had with a buddy, but as a solo business owner, you come up with all your ideas, you get your routine going, you get your product, and then it's like, okay, now what? Like
Right.
it's flowing, it's bringing money in, but you kind of reach like a creative dead
You
end
become
almost.
stagnant.
Yeah, and it becomes
Yeah.
stagnant, and you either have to hire a business coach or
Mhm.
something, which are great things. Like,
Yeah.
assuming one day we'll probably end up getting that too, but at least having the multiple partners, you can probably prolong that a little bit.
For
Yeah.
sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
And
Like we were just talking about things that I may never think of, you two will think of.
Yep.
Right. Or it's like having the option to bounce ideas off of each other is huge, because doing this by myself would be, I couldn't even imagine, because it's stressful right now.
yeah,
You know, it's stressful trying to
Yeah.
navigate each day and prioritize things. So it's like having someone to prioritize each thing out of all 3 of us is huge. It's super
and
helpful.
we all have different backgrounds. We all have different experience with things. So like, for me and Jordynn too, like we've been doing social media for quite a while and marketing like ourselves that way.
Alex, what's
Whereas-
a carousel?
Alex,
Yeah.
What's a carousel?
Not as much for me.
Alex has slowly become an influencer.
Yeah.
So
You're doing great though, man. You
you are.
The first time I was being a videographer for Choff and Logan and Jordynn, my thumb was in front of the camera
my
for the first 5 minutes. So I
Then
pulled
he
an
sent
ad.
us another one later, and you can see the phone, just the tripod.
It was an ant maneuver.
It was still a good video.
Yeah, it was a great video. I think we still used it. Honestly, didn't we?
That's character.
But anyway, yeah, regardless, like, I think the other motivation piece for me is like proving people wrong, right?
For sure.
Like everyone's skeptical about partnerships and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, all right, well,
Just fuel the fire.
we've already made a commitment of doing this, so let's the only option is to prove them wrong now.
That
Absolutely.
and the whole Move Detroit name. I mean, when we started, so like backing it up again, we decided we wanted to do this together, but it's like, okay, now how, right?
Right.
We each have our individual communities, and how do we do it? So we bring them together, and we do workouts, and we build more community. And it was a unique concept of what Move Detroit was before it was this, moving around Metro Detroit, going to coffee shops and banks and all of these weird places. And it was hard for people to like grasp their head around these people actually, what are they doing? Like,
So many
what are
people-
they doing?
what is
what
Move
are
Detroit?
they
What is Move
doing?
Detroit?
And plus, too, we
Yeah.
gave away, we did a lot of charity events, so we were giving back a lot. We weren't really bringing in any of the income that we were making from these events. And what is Move Detroit? Like, these guys, they're just
Right.
having fun. 2 kids playing around.
Run around the
and-
parking lot.
That's-
yeah, literally, with squirt guns.
I mean, that's
Best day ever.
That was the
It
beauty
was
of
the
it,
best day
though,
ever.
because I mean, I was at a point too where I had been out of the group fitness game for a while, and so I was kind of looking to get into that again, and to do it at like not only in different places each time, but even just from a network building standpoint, like in marketing ourselves and just being different. Because one thing that Jordynn and I talked about too initially was what's something that personal trainers in this area aren't doing right now, and that was going around and hosting different events at these other small businesses, because it also brings them business too. So it's a win-win, you know,
Absolutely,
for both parties. And so
Going back to the go alone, go fast, go together, go far. I said that completely backwards, but
but it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. You collaborate
Makes sense to
and
me.
you build relationships, and
Yep.
you're gonna go far.
Right.
So
Keep making more friends.
Our first event was at this small coffee shop.
Tiny. We were having coffee there, and I asked Logan, I was like, "What if we did an event here?" He's like, "You think they'd let us?"
Yeah, I was
Where was that at
I'm
again?
like,
What
it was
coffee?
at Monarch.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck it. So I get up and I just asked the guy, I was like, "Hey, would you guys do a workout here?" He's like, "We've never done that, but here's my owner's contact." He was skeptical too.
Yeah.
But we crushed. It was a great time.
We filled it up.
We filled it up.
I think we opened 10 spots.
Yeah. It was.
Brought the hero boards with us. I
don't know. We didn't have hero boards at that time. I think that was just bands. It was literally body weights
you're right.
and bands.
Yeah, we just did bands.
I think like the
And
second
everyone brought their own yoga mat
Mats.
too.
Oh wow.
So at that point, I think all I had was a speaker. We had a speaker.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was just us.
was
Our Keep Going shirts. Shout out. Mike.
Yeah, we weren't even wearing like any branded.
We had
stuff
we
by
didn't have a
then.
brand. It took Stacy was the one that was like, "What's this little?"
We started off with
LWL was
my company,
his business, and then JLB was kind of my brand.
What is this alphabet?
Yeah, literally alphabet soup on our shirts. It just made no sense. And then I had mentioned that to him, and
we didn't know at that time like what it was. It was just like personal, like two personal trainers like hosting an event together.
Yeah.
We were kind of just having fun at that point. Like we knew what the end goal was, but we didn't have.
There's no timeline.
There's no timeline. There was no clear, concise steps on how to get there. It was just.
Which I think bouncing off that would be comforting for a lot of people too, because most people want those clear, concise steps when they venture out of their comfort zone and when they're trying to start something. But when it comes down to it, like you just go, you just do it. You start somewhere and then you build off of that.
So here's a cool thing on that note. So last night I've been reading this book called The 7 Laws of Success. And last night the chapter was the law of detachment, which I think is a really cool concept of like, which is exactly what we did with Move Detroit. It was like we basically set ourselves up for something that we're passionate about, and instead of like expecting a certain outcome, or obviously we have goals, but we weren't set on like, oh, we need to get this done by this timeline. It was like, no, like let's just let nature do its thing. Let's and
detach from the outcome.
Detach from the outcome, and whatever happens, whatever this turns into organically is where like what it's meant to be.
Right.
You know?
Right. We were in that first workout, and people were like, "Wait, that was cool. When's your next one? When's your next one?" I think the second one we did, we knew like 2 people in the class. It was all brand new faces, and it was kind of like, wow.
I still remember the very first time someone came to one of our events, and we didn't know who they were, and we were like, "How did you hear about this?" And they're like, "Oh, like I come to this coffee shop a lot. I saw it on social media." I was like, "What?
Cool.
Really?
It's working.
It works."
Those cute little lab photos.
Yeah, it works.
Oh my gosh! Remember the one we did? The Christmas one flyer. We had Chop's face in there. Chop. That was when DJ. That's when we had our first DJ.
Put a little.
It was like all of our faces coming from the corner, and he had like reindeer ears. And
I do not remember this at all.
Really? Oh my gosh.
I had reindeer ears?
Yeah, or one of us did. One of us was like Santa. One of us had reindeer ears. One of us, I don't know.
I put reindeer ears on Troff's head.
Candy cane. It was like candy cane ears.
I also, this was me trying to navigate how to do graphic design still. And use Canva.
I would guess that event was a tremendous success, yeah?
Yeah.
I think that was, I want to say that was the first event we had you do.
Yeah, that was. That was the first like
As-
hype event.
yeah.
Yeah. Where's that applause? Hey, let's go. Let's go.
Put some,
Yeah.
put some shouts in there.
But I
So-
mean, fast forward though, and we did our parking lot party, and I think that was so this season broke. We started in January, and parking lot party was the first one that we brought Alex to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we wanted to always implement the physical therapy side of things and the recovery side of things, and that was our most successful event at that point, largest, most amount of vendors,
That
and
was
then that's
wild.
kind of where
Yeah.
More
relay
and more
partnership
behind
kinda
the
started.
scenes
Yeah.
too, like leading up to that. Alex and I, from even before day one, like before we even actually started working together at the PT clinic, we were at like the very first conversation that you and I had was at Amici's, and I don't even think it was very like we didn't really talk businessy.
No.
But it was almost like we connected like right
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
and could
Immediately.
just kind of like our vibe matched very equally.
Yeah.
And I don't think we saw each other after that for like a year.
No. But I remember
And
like
then-
contacting you because you were telling me how you had the storage unit, and
Yeah.
I was like fascinated by
Yeah.
that because I always wanted to do something like
Yeah.
that. I remember reaching out to you after the fact and just asking you more about the storage unit and
Yeah, I just remember
how
even
cool of a concept that was.
on that first conversation that we had, you were asking me so many questions, which I like hadn't really had at that point. And
Yeah.
so I almost respected it because I'm like, wow, this guy's like actually genuinely interested. It's like challenging me because like I'm coming up with like answers
Yeah.
that
yeah.
I hadn't ever thought about before.
Yeah.
So it got my brain kind of going a little bit. And so I think that kind of left a good impression on me. And then fast forward, the universe somehow got us in the same clinic.
Yeah. I don't know
Within
how,
the same
how
company.
that happened.
Yeah. And then from there, it was just like the same thing. But every single day we were working together would just be like these little like side conversations that we would have of like entrepreneurial like type
Yep.
conversations where we're
Yep.
like, you know, we see the bigger picture, you know, what's going to be more fulfilling at the end of the day rather than what's going to pay our bills, you know?
Right.
And I think,
Where our passion lies.
right. And I think over time, you and I started to really digest that. And we always knew that we wanted to partner together. We just didn't know what that looked like.
Yeah.
And then things started to develop within the company we were at, where we just, you know, we were on the path of like owning our own PT clinic
Through that company.
through that company.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm doing this stuff with Jordynn, and I'm like, man, like, I want to get you in on this.
Mhm.
Like, I think this would just make
Makes
sense
sense, yeah.
because, you know, I can do the PT recovery stuff and I can do the training, but it's hard for me at these events because I'm talking to people, I'm trying to build a brand and connect. And so it's like to have that third person to do that stuff that I know is going to be valuable and boost us up. To have someone there just to do that would be great. And so, yeah. And then leading up to like parking lot party was when, that was kind of like that first event. And I don't think you had a few people, but I think
I had a decent amount that day.
Yeah.
That came up because I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too fluent with group fitness. Like I'd done your mom and pop group fitness class, but nothing to that realm.
Mhm.
And I remember showing up,
Oh, yeah.
you know, trying to hype myself up, blast some music, not sure what to expect. And then I walk in, this event was just like insane.
Yeah.
Like more than I ever would have expected.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, it was really cool to see you two in action. And then after the fact, like seeing everyone coming up and really valuing like, oh, what is this? What is this recovery services? Like what can we get out of this? So it was really cool from my perspective to see like all that take form, take life.
Yeah. And that was like one of the first events that we had offered the recovery thing.
Mhm.
So like, even from a marketing standpoint, we didn't really know how to like market
Yeah.
that. And plus no one in our community really knew you yet.
Yeah.
I know we like leading up to it, we marketed you a little bit, but I think as each event went on that we had you at, I think we got better and better with
Yep.
Definitely.
marketing that. And then like, I remember a few events after that, you had like a freaking line.
Yeah.
After
A lot of people.
our,
Yeah.
after our
A little
workout.
overwhelming,
Oh,
but it was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So it was
Really
great.
cool to witness.
But the last thing I want to touch on though, because I don't know, I think we're coming up on time.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we're doing this thing.
Could chat for hours in here.
I know.
Oh, this is cozy.
Shoebox is nice and cozy. I just feel so comfortable in here.
I know, honestly.
But no, I want to hear a little bit from Alex too. So Jordynn and I talked about kind of our background and like how we basically had this end goal in mind. So I kind of want to hear, or like I want you to talk about your perspective on like going through your experience over the years and what that end goal looked like for you.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because when I was in high school, my brother and my dad got me super into working out. So I was always into working out and always into fitness. And then going into high school, into college, me and my brother, because so my one brother was in sales, my other was an occupational therapist, so all in the health field, and we all were like one day we want to have our own gym, like one day we want to have a family gym or something like that. And then obviously as time ventured on, they kind of did their own thing. I knew I was going into physical therapy. So it was always on the forefront for me to know, like, I know I want to own something of my own, whether it was a gym or whatever it was. I just knew I wanted to help people, and I knew I loved fitness and health and wanted to do something in that realm. So the whole time through school, that was the goal for me to get into. And then kind of like you alluded to, being at Amici's, our conversation was the first conversation that I had with someone that we were on the same wavelength, right? Like it was like the exact same goals. It was like I was talking to myself, based on like what you had in mind and what goals you wanted. So that was super cool to experience, because that was the first time I've had that with anyone. Like I've never had a conversation that was that similar in approach and what your goals were that aligned with myself. And then meeting Jordynn, it was like all three of us, we both just had the same goals in mind. And those conversations were never a battle on, okay, this is my goal, that's their goal. Like these aren't lining up, right? Yeah. It was always, wow, that's cool. Like she thinks the same way as me. Like that's cool that Logan thinks the same way as me. Like it was always, we know we wanted to help people. We wanted to have a place for people to come to as like we like to say, Move Detroit as a one-stop shop, because it really is. It's people can come here, they can work out. If they're in pain, they can get services, right? We just want people to be able to do a podcast. Shoebox, have a sick DJ. People to be able to come into a place and just have everything they need. Yeah. Right. So it was pretty crazy how the stars aligned, meeting you guys and how everything was just like seamless, how it worked out.
I was just thinking that it was all just, everything just fell into place so well. And
it was
crazy. That, I don't know, there's kind of relating to it, but I always say like good always wins. And I think we're all have the same good in us as far as what we want to do and how we want to help people. And it's not in a selfish way. It's not, we're not all like in it for some other reason. Right. And it's just
good intentions.
Good intentions.
I want to say too, like the one thing I respect about you is you were coming as an outsider. Like me and Jordynn kind of founded Move Detroit. So for you to take the risk of like just jumping and going all in with us, it says a lot. Like, it just says like, it gave me reassurance that like, wow, like, okay, what we're doing, someone else believes in it so much that he's willing to like leave his full-time, doctor of physical therapy. Yeah.
And it goes back to like what you said, and what you said as well, Jordynn, like, are you chasing pure money? Because like Logan alluded to earlier, we were in a spot where we were going to partner with the company we were currently at. And so from my perspective, I knew that was going to be profitable. Yeah. But in my head, I'm like, am I just chasing income and profit, or am I chasing fulfillment?
Right.
Right. At the end of the day, when I go to bed, I want to be able to enjoy each and every day, rather than just knowing I got to push through this, and one day I'll have enough money to be happy. Yeah. Why not be happy every single day throughout the process?
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because like we'll touch on this in future episodes, but like you and I were like so in for running this PT clinic.
I was just on the sidelines like Logan. This wasn't in our original plan.
Right. Well, so like the whole
what's going on.
Well, I was kind of blinded too of like, seeing like, okay, this product works. It's gonna be profitable, but like at that point, I didn't realize I wasn't going to be fulfilled if I did go that route. So, but I think where our mindset started to shift was when you started listening to Alex Hormozy.
Yeah. Shout out Hormozy.
Shout out
You're the
Hormozy,
best, dude.
man. Like, that guy saved us.
Changed everything.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
And shout out Justin Geller.
Yeah.
Shout out Justin
Shout out Justin Geller
man.
and
We love
Hormozy.
you.
Changing our lives.
Felt like I could get a fresh breath of air.
Yeah. And that's
Or
that conversation. Fresh of breath there.
I
I
say
don't
that
know
all
what
the
the
time.
hell I just said. I talk backwards.
But
I do that too.
that's something I want to touch on too.
So we're
Is the
partners.
conversation I had with you in the parking lot of Dog and Pony that one day was like that was a tough.
That was a tough conversation. That was something for me personally. It was like, so for a while when you brought up Alex and you guys brought up, the moving on with the company and stuff like that, I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna let this play out. I'm gonna see what happens. And it wasn't that I didn't want Alex. I wanted Alex, but I wasn't going to be a part of the other company, right? And Move Detroit originated off of our original goal, which was the one-stop shop where we are now. And I was doing fine, doing my own thing, and we were having fun, but then I just kind of reached a point where it was like, these events are getting bigger and bigger. This makes sense for it makes sense for me as a full-time trainer and doing what I'm doing to move on my own now. So what are we doing? And that conversation was, it's Layla Hormozy. What did she say? Like, the tough conversations. Imagine what could happen if you didn't have those tough conversations. And I think that's a really good moment of like testament to that is that was a conversation I was dreading. I didn't want to have it all. But then finally I was just like, hey, I had to get real serious. And I remember like going home and kind of tearing up on my way home. Like I feel like just like we're like this for a minute for the first time ever. And I don't really know what to do. We were butting heads in the parking lot. And it was just like, I told him, you need to think about what you need to do because I'm ready now. So with or without you, I'm going. And
I was
the next day he called me. He was like, hey.
Well, because at first, like, I was like, dang, like, I don't know if this is going to work out.
Yeah.
Because I was, again, at that point, I was so into doing this clinic idea with Alex. And I was like, man, like, it was just a really caught me off guard, moment. And so then when I thought about it, I was like, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I was like, all right, what am I doing? I'm doing 7,000 things.
So many different things.
I'm like, obviously I can't do this the rest of my life. So I was like, that was like the first time where I'm like, okay, I need to start narrowing this stuff down. And and then I think a few days later was when I started.
Then I started stressing out.
And then I started having tough conversations with you.
And I was really stressing out. I'm like, oh my God, now Logan is out. I really want to do this with someone. So then I started freaking out.
Oh man. It was such a weird time. But
those conversations led to where we're at now. Right. So like any time where you're uncomfortable with things, like that's what you got to push through. Because that's
and just to put a timestamp on it, this was 6 months ago.
Yeah, this was not long ago.
This was not.
We had this conversation.
This was not
that
long
was
ago at all.
It was August because it was shortly after the Movement Fest.
Yeah, so like August or so.
Yeah, it was not long ago at all.
Yeah, it was not long at all.
That's wild.
It is
Well,
wild.
like,
But that's kind of. I think we should save the rest for later.
Yeah, I could keep talking for hours.
That's a good stopping point.
Yeah, like we'll stop in September of 2024 when we finally all decided to do this together somehow.
Yeah.
Alex took a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he was on board.
Yeah. All in.
So,
all in.
Dude, when you guys said that, I still have a screenshot of the text of both of you saying separately. This wasn't even a group chat at the point. You guys both texted me all in all caps with 3 exclamation points.
I just got goosebumps.
It's meant to be.
And I screenshotted that shit because I'm like, this is going to be so cool to look back on in the future.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
I actually got goosebumps right now. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, pure manifestation over time.
It really was.
I hadn't been fulfilled until that moment. Like, that was the first time I ever felt like real fulfillment.
I think I remember talking to you. I was like, this is the first time ever in my life that I feel like I have control. Like, I have freedom and I have control because I actually made a decision. I didn't just follow a path that someone told me could be the correct one.
It's wild what happens when you listen to your intuition.
Yeah, it really is.
Your gut.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams, kids.
Follow your dreams. Don't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
Use
Keep
it as fuel
going.
to the fire.
You just got to keep going.
Fuel to the fire. People are going to doubt you.
Yep.
People are going to try to lead you down different paths.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you have to really
fuel,
sit down and think about what path you actually want to go down.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Ooh, what's
the move?
What's the move?
Tell me what it is.
We told. And we got a lot more to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned. Episode 2.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Thanks for having us, Shoebox.
Shout out Shoebox
thanks,
Detroit
Thanks,
for the
Shaw.
hospitality.
Thanks for being here.
It was great.
Great. It's my favorite
This cozy
podcast
spot.
ever.
Let's go.